October 4th, 1957. A silver sphere called Sputnik beeps across the night, and America's pulse spikes. President Dwight D. Eisenhower counters with ink. On July 29, 1958, he signs the National Aeronautics and Space Act. He appoints engineer-turned-dean Thomas Keith Glennan as NASA's first administrator, with aerodynamics legend Dr. Hugh L. Dryden as deputy. Thousands of NACA researchers pin on fresh badges, and the space age gets its official address. April 9, 1959, flashbulbs burst as NASA unveils the Mercury 7, Alan Shepard, John Glenn, Gus Grissom, Scott Carpenter, Wally Schirra, Gordon Cooper, and Deke Slayton. 2 years later, Shepard's Freedom 7 climbs to space on May 5, 1961, proving an American can fly and steer beyond the sky. 9 months after that, Glenn's Friendship 7 loops Earth 3 times on February 20th, 1962, his calm voice beaming worldwide. Project Mercury turns Sputnik panic into proof. Humans can go, guide, and get home alive. June 3rd, 1965. Astronaut Ed White kicks open Gemini 4's hatch and becomes the first American to swim in space, sunrise flames chasing his gold visor. 6 months later, December 15, Wally Schirra and Tom Stafford slide Gemini 6A to within arm's reach of Frank Borman and Jim Lovell in Gemini 7, proving 2 ships can dance together at 17,000 miles an hour. March 16, 1966. Neil Armstrong and David Scott dock Gemini 8 to an Agena target, the first mechanical handshake in orbit. By mastering EVA, rendezvous, and docking, Project Gemini forges the tools Apollo will need to reach the Moon. January 27, 1967. Astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee perish when flames race through Apollo 1's cabin. The tragedy forces Chief Architect Werner von Braun to redesign Saturn V, and Flight Director Gene Kranz vows his team will be tough and competent. 20 months later, the giant rocket thunders skyward. Christmas Eve 1968, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders aboard Apollo 8 read Genesis as Earth rises blue above the Moon. July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins guide Apollo 11 to Tranquility Base. One small step, paid for in fire, rebuilt in genius, witnessed by 500 million souls. April 11th, 1970. Apollo 13 climbs toward the Moon with Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Haise aboard. 56 hours later, an oxygen tank explodes. Lovell radios, "Houston, we've had a problem." Flight Director Gene Kranz forms Tiger teams, and astronaut Ken Mattingly runs endless simulator drills. April 17th, 1970. The crippled craft splashes down safe. The mission fails to land, yet proves brains and teamwork can bring a dead ship home alive. May 14th, 1973. America lights its final Saturn V and lofts Skylab, a 100-ton orbiting workshop. Seconds later, a micrometeoroid shield tears away, starving the station of power. June 7th, 1973. Commander Pete Conrad with Joseph Kerwin and Paul Weitz pry a jammed solar wing loose, saving their new home. Across 3 Skylab crews, astronauts live and work aloft for 84 days. July 15th, 1975. Astronauts Tom Stafford, Vance Brand, and Deke Slayton launch to meet cosmonauts Alexei Leonov and Valery Kubasov. 2 days later, Apollo and Soyuz dock. Stafford and Leonov clasp hands, turning space into neutral ground. Skylab is proven, the Cold War softens, and NASA looks toward reusable wings. April 12, 1981, Space Shuttle Columbia roars off Pad 39A. Commander John Young and pilot Robert Crippen prove a plane-like spaceship can leave Earth and glide home on the same wings. January 28, 1986, Challenger disintegrates 73 seconds after liftoff, killing all 7 crew members aboard. For 32 months, the fleet stands down while engineers redesign joints and flight director Gene Kranz hammers in a new mantra. Failure is not an option. September 29, 1988. Discovery lifts the nation back into orbit on mission STS-26, commanded by Frederick Hock and piloted by Richard Covey. The shuttle is reborn, ready to build space stations, launch telescopes, and ferry a new generation of explorers. April 24, 1990, Space Shuttle Discovery releases the Hubble Space Telescope, championed for decades by astronomer Nancy Grace Roman. Weeks later, astronomers gasp. Hubble's mirror is ground 2 microns wrong, turning newborn stars into blurry halos. December 2nd, 1993. Commander Richard Covey's crew aboard Endeavour perform 5 marathon spacewalks, installing corrective optics nicknamed Costar. January 13th, 1994. Hubble returns razor-sharp images of the Eagle Nebula's pillar clouds, redemption in living color. November 20th, 1998. The Russian Proton rocket lofts Zarya, the first piece of an international space station built by 15 nations. December 4th, 1998. Shuttle Endeavour mission STS-88 locks America's Unity node to Zarya. November 2nd, 2000. Expedition 1 Commander William Shepard with Yuri Gidzenko and Sergei Krikalev float aboard and turn on the lights, starting an unbroken human presence in orbit. Piece by piece, Hubble sharpens our vision, while the ISS becomes our shared foothold, proving space is now a team sport. As expedition crews tightened the last solar wings onto the station, 2 silent emissaries, launched a quarter-century earlier, were already sailing beyond the sun's final glow. Voyager 2 slipped away on August 20th, 1977, and Voyager 1 followed on September 5th, threading past Jupiter's red storms, Saturn's bright rings, Uranus's sapphire haze, and Neptune's dusky winds before plunging into interstellar night. January 4, 2004, rover Spirit lands on Mars. January 25, twin rover Opportunity rolls out, exploring nearly 15 Earth years. August 6, 2012, rover Curiosity sky cranes into Gale Crater, hunting ancient lakes. July 14, 2015, New Horizons skims past Pluto, revealing ice mountains and a heart-shaped plain named Tombor Regio. From interstellar darkness to Martian dust, NASA's robots stretch the reach of the space station 1 billion times farther. May 30th, 2020, SpaceX crew, Dragon Demo 2 arcs off Pad 39A. Astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken ride the first privately built ship to reach orbit, reopening America's crude gateway. June 6th, 2024, Boeing Starliner joins the fleet, lifting Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams to station on its maiden crew flight. December 25, 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope departs Earth atop an Ariane 5, unfolding golden mirrors the size of a tennis court to peer 14 billion years back in time. November 16, 2022, NASA's mighty Space Launch System ignites Artemis 1, sending the uncrewed Orion capsule 40,000 miles beyond the Moon. Artemis 2, targeting 2026, will carry 4 astronauts around the lunar far side. Artemis 3 aims to plant new footprints near the South Pole. Commercial craft, cosmic eyes, and super heavy rockets now work in concert, preparing the launch pad for humanity's next giant leap.